Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Best Damn Critic in the Universe. This is episode 13, and this weekend I was not able to go to the movie theaters because I was finishing up the rough draft for my novel, but I do have a oldie goldie for you, and I feel it's good to review some of these older movies because I know some of my subscribers are a little younger, and they really should be invested in good films like the one I'm about to review. So, the film I'm going to review is The Boondock Saints. Now, some of the older people that subscribe to my channel will know what movie this is, and if you don't, you should definitely watch it. It was written and directed by Patrick Duffy, who, to be honest, besides The Boondock Saints, he really hasn't had a big hit or anything of that value. He really hasn't had any big blockbusters besides the Boondock Saints and the sequel, which wasn't as good as the original, which is mostly the case. So let's get right into it. The Boondock Saints is the tale of fraternal twins who, through chance, destiny, whatever you want to think or call it, get sucked into basically become vigilantes and they start killing off mob people and big time criminals in Boston because they're just sick of it. They're sick of all the corruption. They're sick of all the crime, and they are pursued by the FBI. So let's and this is their tale pretty much. So let's get into the characters. Now the characters I really enjoyed them, and for two reasons. One, they definitely invested some time in their supporting characters, which you've heard me say before is something not a lot of filmmakers and writers do. They just don't invest enough time in the supporting characters, so you don't really care what happens to them. But in this one, they do. Now, the main characters are Agent Smecker, Paul Smecker, who's played by William Dafoe. He's the FBI agent who is tracking down the fraternal twins, the McManus brothers. Now we have Sean Patrick Flannery, who plays Connor McManus, and then we have Norman Reedus, who you might know from the Walking Dead as Daryl, and he plays Murphy McManus. Now, the supporting characters are as follows. David Del Rocco is and it is he's plays Rocco, a small time Italian mobster who helps them track down these guys because he knows everyone, and he knows who they are, where they live, what they do. And he is like their best friend pretty much, and he's almost like a brother to them, and they develop his character he probably the most. They also develop and they develop the others good, but they develop David Del Rocco the most, and he does a phenomenal job. And Billy and some things happen, and you really feel invested in David Del Rocco, which I liked. Now, Billy Connolly played Il Duce, a assassin for the Italian mob. After the McManus brothers kill off a couple, they send this guy after him. So I love the characters. They aren't even in the '90s, they were not the most famous characters. Like William Dafoe is probably the most famous, but they still did a great bang up job, I have to say. And like I said before, the supporting characters were very well invested in. You actually cared when something happened to them. You learned their story, you learned their fears, their anxieties. It was great. So let's get on to the story. Now, the story was very good. It wasn't too complicated. It wasn't too simple to where you fell asleep. It was just right. It was mostly an action shoot 'em up flick, a lot of shooting and a lot of killing. So if you don't like that sort of stuff, this might not be the film for you. But besides the killing and the blood, it has some great comical relief, especially David Del Rocco. And also, it has some drama in it too. Some stuff happens to him, good and bad, and the characters did a great job showing their emotion and really making the film and the story very good. So I really like the story, and also there's a twist at the end, and there's also twists and turns along the way. So it's not too confusing, like I said, and it's not too boring, which I liked. Now, let's go into production value. This is where the film suffered a little bit. Now, it doesn't have the worst production value, but it's definitely not a high budget film, that's for sure. And I mean, it's not like it was so poorly done that it was in black and white and, they were wearing clothes from Goodwill. But it just, it wasn't made by a big studio, so they didn't have millions of dollars to make this stuff, but they got along just fine. I think they taped probably in the streets, in small locations. They really didn't have a bunch of different locations. You could tell some of them were recycled, but it was still a good movie. Like, then the camera angles, they weren't like, have all these varying camera angles. They were pretty simple, but there were some cool parts in the action scenes where they went in slow mo, sort of like Bullet Time in Max Payne, if you know the game. Sort of like Bullet Time, where they just went in slow mo. It was pretty cool. But I mean, the production value wasn't terrible. It's not like they were given $1,000, and they're like, here, go here. Here's a two-dimensional wall that you'll film everything with. But it wasn't like they were in like 20 different locations. I would say they were in half a dozen locations throughout the whole movie, which isn't a lot, but it was good. They really worked it well. So my final prognosis is a 9 out of 10. Now, like I said, the production value wasn't great, but the actors were simply great. The story was good. It had drama, action, comedy, and a lot of shooting, but it was a good story. And there was a twist at the end, and there was stuff happened, and they had to deal with it. So it was a really good story. And like I said, the characters were good. The production value was the only thing that kind of suffered, but it didn't even really bring the film down that much. So 9 out of 10 is my final review. So before you go, please like and share this video, whether it's on Facebook or you're on the YouTube channel. And please, if you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel, like my Facebook page, The Best Damn Critic in the Universe, and follow my Instagram page, The Best Damn Critic in the Universe, all one word, so you can get up-to-date updates, up-to-date updates, which is weird to say, but up-to-date updates on when I upload my videos. So thanks for watching.